Two Rivers Talks is brought to you by Two Rivers Biz Starts. Also by Two Rivers Main Street. And by Raleigh Point Economic Advising. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
What is it?
It's if you're familiar with the song "I'm a Loser Baby" by Beck, it's "I'm a Cheesehead Baby."
Oh, okay.
Classy.
All right, Andrew. Thank you very much. We are up in Twin Rivers, Wisconsin. The big controversy here today, by the way, since we're breaking all kinds of news, because I know everybody wants to. Two Rivers. I'm sorry.
What did you say?
Two Rivers, Wisconsin.
Twin River? Twin Peaks.
It's because I got 3 hours sleep last night. Partially due to Kevin, who kept me out late with.
Oh, it wasn't Darla over here, Miss Teenager?
No, Darla checked out early.
Whatever. She told me her stories about
She escaped the scene of the crime.
Because she was playing Chung all Friday night.
I know.
She told me.
But the big controversy, because nationally and internationally, I guess the big controversy is the Ukraine, the whole Ukraine thing. But here in Two Rivers, it's Two Rivers but 4 bridges.
God, you know what? But you
It was
guys,
funny.
every Sunday I have to
it was
listen
funny.
to these
It was
jokes.
funny
Just,
in my
it's
head.
like hit the floor and
Welcome. Hey, by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And we got your swag bag from our friends over at
Congratulations, you're old.
Patricia Frontaine, and then a little something you can dig into later.
Yay,
And
dentures
And then Carl and I conspired and got you a paisley cake.
Paisley?
It's a paisley
Nice.
cake. It's right over there on the table.
Really?
With more food than we could ever eat
We all hide and watch.
in a month of shows.
I can. Oh, look out! I can hear all that.
All right, we'll do that. We're sort of all discombobulated here, but let me get back on track. Hey, we all wish to Playtime with Bill Kerri and Kerri Kendall could be on 7 days per week until we figure out how to make that happen. There is always thirdcoastreview.com. Can't catch Playtime live? Find current replays posted every Wednesday. Right now, trending at thirdcoastreview.com. Fall is officially here. Check out Third Coast Review's Guide to Fall Beers from our friend Nicholas Blashill. We were, I don't know if Kevin, I think is downstairs in the basement working. But we were
just keep
trying
it
some
down.
local fall beers, some good Oktoberfest here up in Two Rivers. Also, Nancy Bishop's review, The Divine Sarah Persists in Playing Hamlet in Bernard Hamlet at Goodman Theater. Also, the PCR mixtape number 40, Springsteen at 70, with music curated by longtime Chicago fans. And again, we know it's all Nancy.
Oh,
It's not the crew.
No.
It's all Nancy who's got a big crush on Bruce Springsteen.
Nancy
And Sarah
Wilson.
Brooks reviews interview with local singer-songwriter Josie Dunn. Your weekend curated each and every week with Julian Ramirez, who's going to be in the studio next week because we've got the locals are coming in to play live
Well, right on.
in the second hour next week. So we'll see Julian and talk some music as well. Plus stage screens, games, tech, and much more. Only at Third Coast Review Chicago. Your weekend is now curated. Kerri Kendall, who's on the show. Can I throw papers here?
Yes, you may.
Oh, that's awesome.
On the show, we are in Two Rivers, Wisconsin at Basil Ishkabible's Art Gallery and Shared Space, 1612 Washington Street, tworiversartists.com. And I'm going to be full transparency here. Bill basically wrote the Two Rivers Board of Tourism thing for me to read here. I'm not going to do it.
I have a complete history of the town.
It's seriously, you guys will be snoring, but we love it here, and this is a wonderful little town. But I'm not reading this nonsense.
We'll get to it.
Well,
I mean,
we're going
most
to get
everything-
to it, and we're going to bring it out naturally. from
Okay.
you
Yeah.
guys.
Organically.
Instead of me,
So that's why she's the boss.
this is why I'm the boss. Okay, the city was originally called Nishita, is that
Yes.
right?
You've got it in front of you. Why are you looking at me? It's not going to be a
See,
quiz
you
here.
can,
Yeah.
you can help me out with that, Nishota,
I'll be your co-host.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Let me just do this also because we're featuring music from some brand new music from Gina Gonzalez and her new EP also from the locals. And I just spoke with Gina, and we were trying to get her on the show. I think we might be able to make that happen soon. Yeah. Mark Shu, my buddy who was in last week
Yeah.
from
Germany.
is good friends with Gina. So we've got some new music from her EP, also the locals who are going to be on the show next week. Scott Chazell and Todd Warner Moore's new album, Starry Sounds, and Christina Styklos. And from Appleton, I've got a couple songs by Pudge, a rock and local band.
Right on.
Anybody here familiar with Pudge
Anyone raise your hands?
from Appleton?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, you are?
Darla is.
Good on you. Yeah,
Darla was probably
cool.
there last weekend.
they're a great indie pop band, and they've got some good energy, and once again showcasing some of the great talent that is often overlooked
That's right.
outside of Wisconsin, outside locals. All of them are on SoundCloud, and all the links to all those great bands are up at our Facebook page. So. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome
to you.
You're welcome.
Welcome us to your gallery.
This is great. And once again, we're coming to you live from Basil Ishkabibble's art gallery and artist share space in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. A really lovely time. I was running around, and I talked with a lot of people who were apologizing. We wish it could have been sunnier for you, but actually, I think, especially this time of year,
Yeah.
that sort of blustery, dramatic sky, from an artistic standpoint, lends itself nicely
Right.
to woods and beach.
I agree. This is the time of year to be in a little town like this.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So what should we know about Two Rivers that we're not going to find out today?
That's not on this board of tourism.
It's not on the board of tourism.
Well, I'm going to turn that over to Todd. This
What?
is Todd Nelson, and he is my co-host on Two Rivers Talk.
You guys, by the way, if no one has seen the thanks Andrew. If no one has seen the show on YouTube and on your podcast, and they can go to tworiversartist.com and catch past episodes. It's a great vibe,
Right.
and you record it here in the gallery overlooking the main street, so it really has a sort of fun organic feel to it.
And if they go to tworiverstalks.com.
And try to, and if you guys want to pass that microphone back and forth, that might be easier, so you get a little bit closer to it.
Just
There you
not
go.
Oh man. Okay. Here we go.
People will talk.
Todd, you're the tech guy. You should be good at this already.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah, Bill, I think to answer your question, I mean, there are really, I've been living in Two Rivers for about 2 years. I was 20 years in Milwaukee, worked out of Chicago for a long time. My wife and I moved up here because we wanted to be a little closer to family. And we looked around the area, we just really fell in love with the city here. And the city really punches above its weight class in terms of events and, places to go, things to do, things to see. It's not just the beach, which is fantastic, and the best beach in Wisconsin.
Hold that thought. We got to go to a break. We're going to come back with it in just a little bit. We're coming to you live from Basil Ishkabible's art gallery and artist share space in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. We'll be right back after this. A little more Todd Moore, our buddy from Hong Kong. I also wanted to give a shout out because I know he's listening. Believe it or not, even though they're on the road, they might be back home. Chad Quist from Heart by Heart, the Heart Band. He's got a new album out, and let me see that album cover again. Mercury Messenger. It's a really beautiful album. All guitar instrumentals.
Beautiful artwork.
Prog rock, a little jazzy. Remember, Todd, you're kind of shaking your head here or nodding. Do you remember Neil Schon from Journey back in the?
Oh, yeah.
He did some work with what's what's his name, Hammer. I can't remember the guy's first name, but it was Shonen Hammer, and they did some really cool.
MC was the first name.
I'm sorry.
MC was the first name.
Beat it. But they did some cool instrumental stuff, and Chad Quist, who's a young guy who's just in awe of playing with two rock and roll legends, Steve Fossen and Mike DeRozier, the original drummer and bassist for Heart. He's just you could the energy was just like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm here. But he's a hell of a guitar player, writes great music in his own right, and I wanted to say hi to Chad, and thanks to the band because they were wonderful the other day. But that's just me. Welcome back to the show. Well, I'm just meandering aimlessly. Todd, I didn't want to cut you off before we get to Alex here for a moment. About the show, Two Rivers Live.
Oh yeah, so Two Rivers Talks.
Two Rivers Talks.
So Darla and I started this a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
It was kind of a lark. I think at the time I had said something to her about like, hey, we should probably do a podcast or something about the city. We had been talking about it for some time, and one day we just said, hey, let's just do a screen test and see what we like. And so that episode 0 is still up there.
Right.
But we had so much fun doing it, and really, I think when it came down to it, that's what it was about. Like we wanted to see if we had some good on-camera chemistry and had some good conversations. And it was very free-flowing, and we've been doing episodes ever since. And where are we on, like number 20?
I'm working on episode 23 script
23,
right now.
yeah.
This is what I'm going to say, just so we can hear you guys loud and clear over there. You can pull that out of the stand, and if you want to, then if you just want to hold it back and forth,
We can do that.
That way we get you nice and clear, and everybody at home can hear you. But it's a great show with a great vibe. And showcases the town, and it really should be part of the tourism outreach of Two Rivers, because you're getting to know the neighborhood, you're getting to know the community on really an intimate level. It makes it familiar when you drive into town here.
Well, in fact, it is. That's our hope. And I think that when we started, nobody was really talking much about the city
Right.
and what a great place it is to live and work, and
Yeah.
a great place to start businesses. But since that time, we've set up a website for visitors and residents in town called exploretworivers.com. Two Rivers Talks is up there.
Oh,
So for
perfect.
people that are thinking about coming in for the weekend or for a week, or if they're thinking of moving here, they can really get a flavor for the city. Not just
What a
not
great
just to
idea.
hear from us,
Mhm.
but to really kind of hear, kind of see all the things that are happening around the city year round. It's just a lot of events and activities.
So okay, I'm going to have you introduce our guest here. Tell us a little bit about him, and then, because we're really here to sort of drive a narrative about economic revitalization in towns, and we love you guys because you're doing it through the arts. You were sort of you were stepping up and having a vision. Things that you saw was anchored, at least for you, in the arts. So go ahead and introduce our guest here. Well,
Okay. All right. Our guest is Mr. Greg Buckley, who is Two Rivers City Manager. He is originally from Maine, but you have been our city manager for over 25 years now.
Over 24 now,
Over
closing in on a
24.
quarter century.
Okay.
Thought it would be good for 4 or 5 years. Good community, good gig.
Hey, I
Still
thought I
here.
was going to be out of here in 2 to 3 years, and I'm still here. It's been since
Yeah.
1990. So.
Neither of us in the witness protection program. For all the right reasons. That's right.
Greg, let me ask you what the challenge is as a city manager, as an official here in the city or in a small town. What the challenges are in revitalizing a small town, particularly with kind of the tumultuous economic environment that we've seen really over the last 40 years. But what are the challenges that you're facing?
It really is the challenge as a community of seeing through a time of economic transition. And it's a story that gets told certainly in a lot of former industrial centers in the upper Midwest and the Northeast. How do you see through that transition, which Two Rivers is in the midst of, while maintaining quality services, infrastructure, and those quality of life amenities that we do look to the local government for? A great park system, a great public beach, an attractive downtown. I think we're well along in that regard. You know, we're a city of just under 12,000 people. For years was blessed with literally thousands of manufacturing jobs, really concentrated. Our largest company, Hamilton, which was a manufacturer for many years of laboratory furniture, workstations for labs, medical environments, employed over 2,000 people. In the context of a small city of 12,000 people, that's huge.
Yeah.
It was a good blessing for all those years, but as it became apparent from I'd say the 1980s onward, that the company had one foot out the door, was not reinvesting, was looking elsewhere. That was a difficult time for Two Rivers. I came on board in '95. I think the handwriting was on the wall then. But it was, the community had a lot invested. Individual people with their work careers had a lot invested in that industry. And there were similar stories with a lot of the large manufacturing firms that grew from creative individuals that started them here. But realizing as we were seeing globalization become a bigger factor, things like NAFTA, the big things that we hear national policy debates about, those came home in a very real way in small cities like Two Rivers and other places.
Are you originally from Two Rivers?
No, I grew up in northern Maine, about 40 miles north of Bangor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Northwoods.
The reason that I bring that up is boy, I met so many people in town who were born here, grew up here,
Yes.
moved away, and then came back.
Yes.
And I think that's an important consideration in revitalizing a town or finding the opportunities to revitalize a town. You're dealing not only with that macroeconomic scale, but you're dealing with the people here in the town. And one of those things is an aging population, and they get closer and closer to fixed incomes. They're less likely to want to experiment or take risks.
Yes.
And then holding young people here and giving them a sense of hope about the place, so they don't feel that necessarily that they're having to escape a town to go someplace else.
And that's a very real challenge.
Yes.
And I think some of the work that we've seen Todd, Darla, and others doing with initiatives like Biz Starts, Two Rivers, you know, it really comes back to, I mentioned a lot of other small cities, upper Midwest, Great Lakes region cities face that. We've got some phenomenal assets that not all of those have. Yeah, we're on Lake Michigan. Yeah, we have Two Rivers, but that doesn't fully explain the really intimate relationship this community has and the people who live here with the water. It's not articulating it well, but it's magic. It's just a part of the ebb and flow of daily life.
To make it really personal, what brought you here?
Had worked in the Midwest in communities actually in the Chicago area. Was an assistant village manager in Oak Park back in the 80s. Small town in Michigan. My wife and I both wanted to be in a small community in lower Michigan or Wisconsin on or near the water. Position opening came here. Clearly, you know, there are some challenges in the position, but Two Rivers has got a lot of the elements that bode well for success in making that economic transition we talked about. And a lot of it, even, I know you'll be talking to folks involved in the branding initiative that is currently underway in the community. A lot of it, it doesn't mean cloying to our history, but recognizing this is a place where bright, innovative people were able to pursue their dreams, pursue their imaginations, developed early industries that turned into huge enterprises, and in the process built a wonderful community.
Right.
We've lost some of those now. They got big, they left family membership, were held by distant publicly traded companies that didn't particularly care as much or put as much back into the community as their predecessors. But that same germ of an idea that this should be an environment where creative, in this case, maybe it's new economy people that are in the arts or who can work from home, can find a home here, be creative, and indeed contribute to a community.
Right.
So we hear a lot about that opportunity for engagement that you don't often find in larger metro areas. You can arrive here whether you're returning 40 years after you graduated from high school or whether you're a fresh arrival and get involved in the community. It's a very embracing community in that regard.
I was really hopeful to see that because I've been through a lot of small towns in the Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest, but oftentimes in some small communities, you see a level of neglect, or you see a level of it just hasn't aged well. The population has aged to a point where they can't maintain as well as they should. The tax base leaves. in the form of young people and businesses and what have you. I didn't see that in Two Rivers. And to the contrary, it's a very walkable town.
Yes, we think that's one of our great attributes.
Yeah.
Traditional sidewalk networks, bike trails, 12 miles of bike trails from Manitowoc through Two Rivers onto Point Beach State Forest to the north. And we think those are the sort of quality of life investments.
Really well
that,
kept bike trails, by the way.
Thank you.
I visited some of those earlier this morning, and nice and clean and smooth and beautiful. It's a beautiful lakefront.
Well, Mariners Trail, 53 individual gardens tended by volunteers, all those plantings out there. That's not some government program. That's community organizations and individuals. There's a Friends of Mariners Trail group, again, that kind of organically rose up and got organized to support and promote activities on the trail. I think we've benefited from some very progressive community leadership. City councils that have supported reinvestment in infrastructure, that understand that we need to reflect good design in what's undertaken. We've been, maybe as a municipal government, had our eyes open more recently to the importance as well of branding and marketing the community. We can't just say we've got something really good here and let's just wait for somebody to show up and appreciate it. No, we tend to be understated, although we're getting better. Best beach in Wisconsin, best bike trails in Wisconsin. So with a little bit of marketing
bringing industry particularly back to a small town, manufacturing, it's been a focus of promises and conversation right now, to bring some of those industries back to the United States. I don't know how successful that's been, but anyways, is that a realistic goal any longer? If your goal is to revitalize a town that has the kind of energy that you have in Two Rivers?
I think it is still realistic. We have to likewise recognize we live in a world where so much is driven around distribution channels. And a town that's out on a point of lake in Lake Michigan that was a really great location to ship wood type out by the boatload may not be where you'd put a Walmart distribution center in today's economy. Maybe as more industry comes on shore, but as so much of our world is, Amazon's distribution network and other things, there's something to be said for, location adjacent.
We've got to go to a break. Greg Buckley is the city manager for Two Rivers, Wisconsin. We've got more shows. Stick around. We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back to the show. We're coming to you live from Basil Ishkabibbe's Art Gallery and Artist Share Space.
Yes, and welcome. We're very happy that
with
you guys.
a great artist share space downstairs, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You guys could do some great DIY concerts in the basement.
Oh, absolutely.
Some underground, making an underground concert space. How cool would that be?
Get your band together and come on up, and we'll just rock the whole building, and my tenants will all want to leave. So.
Invite them over. I'm sure. Is it Mike and Michelle?
Phil
and Michelle, thank you.
Yeah.
At the bar next door. They were. Phil was a blast.
He is a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good guy.
He's a good guy.
And I sort of dig. There's a great Cheers piece behind us that people can't see, but by a local artist.
That's right.
And sort of caricaturesque, but a little bit more fine art than caricature. Anyways.
There's a lot of great art in here. I keep looking. I forget I'm doing a radio show. I'm just looking around and all.
So last night at Phil and Michelle's, we're out having a couple of beers, but it was a quiet night. And I think a lot of his regulars got drawn to another show at another bar across town, and he just went, I think I'm taking the wife out for dinner. If you don't mind, I'm going to lock up, and that was it. It was awesome. It was very
Can't
cool.
do that in Chicago.
These great voices, by the way, are Darla LeClaire and Todd Nelson, who also do that you can catch on tworiversartist.com. Two Rivers Live.
Right. Two Rivers Talks.
Two Rivers Talks.
That's okay.
I don't know why.
It's a lot of Two Rivers.
I don't know why live
in a
is
lot of
sticking in
different.
there. Two Rivers Talks. But if you go to tworiversartist.com, then
We have a link
you
there.
can get past my speech impediment. Alex Phillips, a local standout, joins us. I had the opportunity of meeting this young man yesterday when we had a dinner at a local place. Great food, by the way.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was very happy with the way things turned out.
Yeah, my wife was outside talking to her last night and going through the menu, and it's a decidedly German restaurant
Right.
with a taco salad.
Who got the taco
And to
salad?
give a plug to it, we were at Kurtz's Pub and Deli on Washington Street.
Yeah, and the food was great.
Yeah,
They really did a terrific job. The service was awesome.
it was. Very nice people there. They
Yeah.
really, they care about their quality of their food and the way they treat their customers.
Really welcoming,
do.
and it was a very comfortable place to go in. But Alex Phillips came in and with the local actor Dan Davies,
Right.
and we had a conversation. And Dan was great, but Alex knocked it out of the park. You have a business.
Yes, I'm working
And-
on starting it up at the moment, but yes.
Tell us about your business.
So the name of my business, it's kind of in like the idea phase right now. I have a little bit of my own work that I've done on the side. It is called Savant Productions.
Oh, I like that.
We are going to be designed to hire people with special needs and disabilities and get them involved in the film industry to produce Hollywood quality video productions in both a theatrical, economic, and educational facility.
And we should let people know that you're a filmmaker,
Correct. Yep. I am a video editor, visual effects artist, and digital cinematographer.
and you bring a special talent to your filmmaking, which is
Savant syndrome and autism.
and you're killing it.
Thank you.
One of the things that Darla and I were talking about was all too often people with those very unique and very special talents are all too often overlooked
Mhm.
because of that designation, because of
Stigma.
assumptions.
Yeah, but that's what I'm intending to change. I'm intending to break all the stereotypes, and the problem that I'm getting a little bit concerned about is how Hollywood is going to react to this.
Yeah.
Because they don't like people stepping on their toes all the time, but yet at the same time, I'm trying to open up the door for new opportunities for people that otherwise would not have that.
Yeah.
I think you would be embraced. I really do. It
Yeah.
could go either way, but I've got a gut feeling that they would welcome you
I think
with
so
open
too.
arms.
The other thing that Hollywood likes, it likes cash. So if you're able to make something quality that they can make cash out of, I think you're good to go, brother.
You know, honestly, I'm more leaning towards the aspect of if the quality of it isn't quite to par of what people are used to in like a Hollywood quality production, it's the fact that everybody was disabled that's going to be the selling feature.
It is, but the other side of that is in the movie business, you see, especially with the independent film industry, you see all different levels of quote unquote film quality because of the the equipment that they have available to them. So it's all about the content, and if you're generating quality content,
Right.
Yep.
I completely agree with that because some of my favorite films are the indie films, like Bottle Rocket, one of my all-time favorite films,
Yeah,
and that was a
yeah.
low budget, no bells and whistles. As soon as CGI starts, or as soon as the cars start chasing and things start blowing up, I'm lost. Give me a good, great characters and a great plot line, and I'm sucked in. It doesn't matter how great the production is.
Have you guys produced anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm in the process right now of looking. The very first thing I want to do is get the funding to get the equipment that I need. The cameras specifically that I was looking at, I've been looking into a Blackmagic design lineup because they actually have some of the best sensors on some of the modern cameras. They just released a 6K model as well, so you can film higher than 4K, which is fantastic.
Wow.
And the files are small, which is nice. I've edited red footage before, and that is horrible.
Okay.
How did you get into filmmaking? What inspired you, or what is it about filmmaking, or the process of filmmaking that just drives your energy?
So, that's a really tough question. I've always been a very creative person. I grew up like seeing the world in a different perspective. So, like when you would, like in elementary school, I would look at the sun in the morning shining a shadow on the bike rack on the ground. I wouldn't see the shadow. What I'd see would be an abstract figure that needed a photo.
Right.
And I started with that. And I bought, for Christmas, I got one of those flip cameras back when they first came out. They don't make them anymore. They were good cameras. And I did, some footage here and there. I even at one point went to Unique Flying Objects here in Two Rivers and bought a big kite and made a rig that I could strap my camera to my kite and have control over where it was pointing.
Oh, wow. Like a drone.
Yeah,
Wow.
basically, yeah. And then I could take pictures or video from up in the air. I put it up,
That's
500 to
brilliant.
1,000 feet and take pictures. So
Wow.
that's kind of how I got started. So I bought a cheap editing software online. It was a little bit more advanced than like Movie Maker or iMovie. It came out of Germany. I forget what the name of it was exactly. And I familiarized myself with that. And then after I found out that the industry software that normally gets used is Premiere Pro, I'm like, okay, well, how much is this? And it was, it's expensive, but I don't necessarily like the subscription aspect of it. But
Oh, I don't either.
Well,
yeah.
Where are you at? Where are you at right now for funding, and where do you need to
Yeah,
be?
do you have a Kickstarter? Because this would be a brilliant.
yeah, no,
idea.
I don't have a Kickstarter right now.
That is, I think,
Yeah.
people would be really interested because of what it is that you're trying to do. Those are the kinds of things that people do want to invest in.
I want to keep it in Wisconsin if I can. Right along Lake Michigan, like I'm thinking about starting it up in Green Bay probably because the economy is a little bigger there for now, just to support a higher.
But you want to concentrate and support the community here.
Yes, and I'm also going to be doing projects throughout like the whole Lakeshore region.
Yeah.
So something to think about is coming up is in November is going to be Startup Wisconsin Week, which is all about new businesses and entrepreneurship in the state. There are going to be a number of hatch business idea competitions that are out there, and some funding opportunities on a local level where you can get, if you get up on stage and you tell your story about what you're doing, I think there's tremendous opportunity for you to fund your business.
I know a
Absolutely.
great podcast you could go on too.
Exactly.
Couple of things. First of all, if you're interested in becoming a nonprofit, there's lots of opportunities there, especially for the perspective that you're coming from. The other thing, and when I was fundraising to get aid to Rwanda back in the 90s, we literally went to churches, and the pastor, the priest, whomever would say, we went with Jesse Jackson Jr., who was brilliant. He would just introduce us to a congregation, and they'd make a collection, and we were getting funding that way. So there's a lot of really creative things that you can do within a community that would help do that.
And also, I'm sure there's grants out there too. I would start with Arts Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
And I can kind of help I can give you a couple of contacts and their contact info and, this can definitely fly. Most
Absolutely.
definitely.
One thing that I would like to point out too is our structure. I set it up. I'm in the process of setting it up as an LLC right now. And the reason for it is that I can actually claim a profit because what I'm trying to do is the money that I do make off of my productions goes to distribute to pay A, my employees, and B, 10% of everything that I make is going to go to either the Autism Society of America or some other special needs charity.
You might want to talk directly to those organizations. They might be able to back fund you as well for that project. That's brilliant. Do you have a website yet?
I'm working on it. I don't
Okay.
have any content to go on it right now, but I do have a domain.
It's important that people know the level of talent so that they don't automatically dismiss someone who's on the spectrum as not being capable, because obviously not even close. You're already killing it, and you haven't even gotten the money together yet.
Yeah, I'm doing the best I can.
We've
It's,
already
yeah,
generated
it's
a heck of a lot of excitement just last night when we first met you. And today, I mean, everybody is definitely behind you on this.
Well, thank you.
We
I
see,
appreciate
we
it.
And now
absolutely
is
see
the
the
time
value.
for this. Seriously, now is the
Absolutely.
perfect time to.
Yeah.
We're in I want to try to revolutionize this whole industry in a way, but I can't do it alone, so.
Let's talk more when we get away from the show. Let's talk more, figure out what we can do, and if there's any connections that we can make, and see what we can do to back you up. It's a great effort, absolutely great effort. Alex, Philip, killing it, man.
Thank you.
Let's work on getting a website up for you. Do you have a Facebook page?
I do. It is Savant Productions LLC on Facebook. And we don't have any content out there right now. However, our logo is pretty cool too. I designed that in, I think I showed it to you, didn't I?
No, you didn't yet, but we'll correct that.
It is a puzzle piece symbolizing autism with a metallic luster to it.
Yeah.
Savant and then
Tell you what,
Productions.
we got to go to a break.
Okay.
And I don't want to lose that, so we're going to go to break, come back. We're talking with Alex Phillip. We're up here in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, live. We'll be right back right after this.
Live.
Very.
And welcome back to the show. You're listening to Playtime with Bill Kerri and
Kerri,
I haven't really said that much through the
You
show.
haven't said it once yet.
No, I don't know what's come over me. You're listening to a little bit of Scott Chaslin's new album, a interesting guy out of New York. He this album is all about his broken heart when his wife left him.
Isn't every album about that?
It should be.
I think
It should be.
most of them are.
And we're coming to you live, by the way, from Two Rivers, Wisconsin. We're here at Basil Ishkabible's Art Gallery and Artist Share Space. Dan Davies just walked in the door. I got to meet him yesterday. We're also talking with Alex Phillip, who's got just a brilliant project that is a long time in coming. But Dan, you introduced me to Alex. You also had, you've got a film festival coming up here.
Yeah, it's essentially a mini South by Southwest.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Film Forte.
And you're a local actor, but you've
Yeah.
you've done some national stuff.
Yeah, I travel about 40,000 miles a year.
Okay.
I do films in Africa and Europe and all over the United States. I've got some coming up with Lionsgate and on Hulu and Redbox and all kinds of good things. If people want to go to my Wikipedia page, it's just Dan Davies, Dadies, and kind of gives you an overview of what the heck I've been up to. But this Film Forte is an award show, and it's music, and it's movies, and it's a compendium of all those things kind of mixed together. So we have some world premiere films. I've kind of created this National Independent Film Association giving out Lifetime Achievement Awards. So and people that I've known and worked with. So I extended it out to Sean Connery is our NIFA Lifetime Achievement Award winner.
Nice.
Neil McCoy, the country legend, is our NIFA Musical Legend Award. We have Jeff Holm, who did post-production for $10 billion worth of total box office films.
Todd Nelson getting any awards this year?
Who?
Todd Nelson getting any
Yes,
awards?
Todd is.
Thank you very much.
He's winning.
Two Rivers Talks?
Yeah, Two Rivers Handsome Talks. He's winning the Handsome Award. But so then we have also posthumously people that have worked with Maury Laws, who did all the music for Frosty and Rudolph and so forth and so on. And then Michael Blake, who the Oscar winner from Dance with Wolves, who I've worked with, who passed in 2015. But we have great music as well. We've got Frankie Joe Moscato from American Idol. We have two other performers, and it's the best of all worlds: independent film, independent music and movies, and independent artisans all come together as a collective to kind of showcase what they have to offer.
And you're out of Appleton.
Appleton, Wisconsin, yeah.
Doesn't seem to me to be the first choice for an actor to who's still in his prime to, you know what, I'm gonna go to Appleton and start up a.
Well, that's what Harry Houdini and Willem Dafoe said. That's why they both escaped from my city.
And nothing against Appleton, but you know the bias is always towards big centers, and even in Chicago, it's kind of a struggle for actors to make an impact in anything beyond the stage.
Yeah.
So Appleton, I would think you could go two ways. It would either be a Herculean challenge or an opportunity that you're not going to let slip through your fingers.
You bet, and it's both, basically.
Okay.
And the films that I do in Africa, the second largest film market in the world is called Nollywood. And it's the film market of Africa. So it comprises of about 1 billion people. And they, 24 English-speaking countries in the diaspora. And it's a massive, massive film industry, second only to Bollywood.
Yeah.
And I just eclipsed Danny Glover and Eric Roberts as the #1 American actor in the history of Nollywood. Because some of these films I've done are now ranked #1 of all time, #6, number 32 of all time, which is really weird. Everybody in Africa knows me, but
Right.
the only people in my hometown that know me are 3 bartenders in my garbage man, and they know me well.
So tell us about Alex. How did you meet Alex?
He's a good young man. He's smart as hell. He is on the spectrum. He's autistic, and it was important for me because I have a nephew who's autistic, and people say that I'm probably maybe a 1 or 2 on the autistic spectrum, and that's fine. But I really wanted to extend out the opportunity for people with autism and people with challenges to be a part of my board of directors for the Film Forte and become part of it as our team. And that's what he's done, along with another gentleman named Mitch Minster. And they're great camera people and great editors and great sound people, and you just have to find their modality and find their skill sets and then work on it. And that's what's beautiful about it, because they all have these great skill sets and genius. So
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So one more time, if people are wanting to travel to Appleton for Film Forte.
Yeah, great. And thank you, by the way.
Sounds worth it.
Yeah, you guys, thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
It's
Thanks for
October
dressing up, by
18th.
the way.
Thank you.
I never look that good.
You know, I actually had a meeting. I was hungover this morning. I was thinking, should I go to church? You know, because that's what you think about when you're super hungover. But
First thing I do when I'm hungover is I get dressed up.
So the Film Forte basically is October 18th. We're having a sensory-friendly showing, which is for autism and for anybody's. That's free. And then on the 19th, we have a Houdini walking tour, and then we have the Film Forte that night with a award ceremony, some really cool videos. We're waiting for Sir Sean to send his, and Neil McCoy sending his.
Oh, cool.
And then we're having the live event, the music, and tickets are available. If people just go to Facebook under Dan Davies or the Film Forte, they can PM me for all the ticket information. It's just going to be a wonderful night. And it's at Riston Arts Center at Lawrence University, which is a really nice liberal arts college in my hometown.
That's and the reason I bring all that up really is what I'm finding here. What we found when we started doing the show, where artists were sort of hanging in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But the real narrative about Chicago is that it's filled with art. It might be the single biggest characteristic or most important characteristic community for acting in. And as I'm getting to know more and more people here in Wisconsin, it's just as vibrant and just as passionate and just as powerful.
Yeah, it's amazing. You have so many people out there, and if we can get, like I said, this collective and get this opportunity for people to have their own projects and be able to have a sustainable culture and income, that's important too. So
Dan Davies, thank you very much. We're going to connect so that we can let our audience know about what you're doing. Alex, we're going to be hearing much more from you. Let us know what you need, and we'll do what we can to get the word out. And if we can help you with anything, then we're happy to do that. We have much more show. We're going to go to the news here in just a second. After that, we've got Lainey Peterson's theater report. She's got a lot of news, and then after that, we'll be back with more from the great folks here in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, where we're live.
We are live.
We're live.
Yeah.
Check my post. Yeah, we're live. At least I am. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about the town and why you should make this a destination for your next vacation. It's really not that far from Chicago.
It was a nice drive. I liked it.
It's closer than Door County, and I'd say.
Was it like
It's
2.5,
a hell of a-
3 hours, something like that?
Yeah, it's like 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
But a nice ride, and it's a pretty area. So we've got much more shows. Stick around. We'll be right back in the second hour. I told you we were going to play some music by the locals,
You did tell me that.
and they'll be live in the show next week. We've got a great show for you next week, and stay tuned. We've got a great show for you this week. Your
Right
you're
now,
listening by the,
okay.
what's that?
Right now.
I can't hear through the headphones.
I know.
So it's like the Helen Keller show
I'll
here.
just keep reaching over. Okay.
And I don't know where the hell I am. You're listening to Playtime with Bill Kerri
Kerri Kendall.
and we're live in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, the lovely Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Darla LeClaire and our good friend Todd Nelson joining us. Also joining us, Curt Andrews is the council member for Two Rivers and has a little something to do with marketing and branding. We were talking about a little bit yesterday. And he just told me he's 64 years old.
I did?
Brother,
But I'm on the radio, so I'm 36.
Well, 36, but I think you stuttered. You're looking damn good, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Well, it's Two Rivers. It's the living.
That must be it.
That must be it.
So we were talking earlier with Greg Buckley, who's the village manager. Village, town,
City manager.
City manager.
Yes. A good city manager.
All right. I grew up in a village.
Did you?
Yeah, the village of Romeoville.
Wow.
The township of Lamont, both way smaller than the Two Rivers. So I never know. City, town.
It's a great city. There is a town of Two Rivers, but we have a city of Two Rivers. That's what we are.
And now currently I live in the mess of Chicago.
Oh, there you go. Well, good for you.
But I was out tooling around the town this morning, and we talked with Greg about the challenges faced with how to revitalize a town, with a lot of different challenges, and you know, if I wanted to be really cartoonish and political about this, I could say, well, it's these policies and that policies, and this is. But there are a lot of things that drive an internal narrative in a town, and where that town has come from and where it's going, and that has to do with the young people. It has to do with the age of the population and where it is along that timeline. It has to do with the tax base. It has to do with a lot of things. But one of the important aspects of revitalizing a town has to do with branding.
Absolutely.
And talk about that a little bit, and even what you mean by branding a town.
Well, it's interesting because branding a town is a lot more difficult than branding a product or branding a business because you know where your competition is.
Right.
We don't own the city. The
Right.
city is an entity by itself.
Yeah.
There's 11,712 people who have an opinion of what the city is, what it stands for, and what the brand should be. So what we're doing is we step back and said, you know, we're going through a change. Greg mentioned it before. We're going through different phases of our journey, if you would, of the city's growth. And what do we need to do to step back and tell our story? What's our brand personality? What's the essence of Two Rivers that we can articulate to people who want to visit, people who want to invest, people who want to move here, and people who are here?
Yeah.
So we formed a committee and said, let's step back and figure out what it is, and let's then, once we have that essence and that brand strategy position, let's go tell the world our story without losing our charm and without losing what it is Two Rivers inherently has become, and
it
what
is.
it's becoming. Right.
What it is. Collectively, it's the people of the town.
That's right.
The spirit of the town.
Everyone has input on what the brand actually is.
So you're working that issue. Where are you in that process? What are you coming to? What are you leaning to? I can talk about a couple of things because I got to wander the town a little bit. I went to the lake shore. I visited the beaches. Then I ran around the town. I was looking at the businesses. You know, from a visitor standpoint, you want to know that there are some accoutrements there. You've got the Park and Save and the Piggly Wiggly. So there's good shopping. There's a dollar store, Dollar General, I think. You've got Schroeder's down the street here there's an antique place, there's boating, there's automotive. There's a Walgreens here. So if you know, for a lot of aging folks, if you're traveling, you want to know that you can access your medications or what have you, or just find some of the things that you need for that level of comfort when you're out on the road. So the town has all of those things. Has a great lakeshore trail. The parks are beautiful and well kept. The beaches are pristine.
Best beach in Wisconsin.
Really, you know what?
You're the second person to say
I
that.
would not argue with that.
And I'm not the last person to say that.
And I've been on a lot of beaches in Wisconsin, but I don't know that I would argue with that. I was astounded at how not just how clean they were, but how picturesque they were.
Yes, it's gorgeous, and the lake is always, it's something's changing every day.
Yeah.
You can sit out there and watch everything from white pelicans coming in, to the geese, to the
To watch
seagulls, to
the
the waves, to
The big ships and barges going through.
and we take advantage of that with events as well. So let me back up a little bit. What we're trying to do is make sure people understand, again, whether you're a first time visitor, like you just described some things you observed.
Yeah.
How do we tell that story to them?
Yeah.
To some people, the Walgreens isn't as important as the kayaking on the river.
Right.
Or the bike trails.
Right.
Or going up to Point Beach and seeing some nature. Or we got Woodland Dunes, which is, 1,600 acres of natural bird watching and, so that's important to those people. But it's also important is we've got good schools. We haven't told that story. We've got opportunity, as Greg talked about, for entrepreneurs to invest.
Yeah.
We've got great support mechanisms with BizStart. And we've got a culture here where the arts are becoming much more important, and we're trying to make sure the community is involved in telling our story. Festivals, oh my gosh, and events, we got them going on all summer long. Even one coming up in October,
You got
the Apple Fest.
And we were chatting with Todd a little bit about that. The Apple Fest.
Yeah, Apple Fest is going to be amazing. It's just a day of vendors coming and selling like different varieties of apples. A lot of local organizations.
You got music.
Okay.
There's a pie baking contest.
There's pie.
Which
There's bakeries. It's just an amazing day and all kinds of great foods and usually it's just kind of a beautiful fall day.
Yeah.
Wander around the Main Street. Usually closed on the Main Street here on Washington Street.
Wow.
And I think it's a great family event day. There's usually some things over in the senior center.
It's a great way to explore Two Rivers, and it's one of our last events before we get into a little bit of the seasons change.
Yeah.
But we're on the doorway to Door County, so we're the gateway there. So it's a great place to stop, enjoy some great food, enjoy some great people. And what I love best about this community, and you and I talked about it earlier, I moved back 3 years ago. I lived in Dallas for 20 years. Was born here, so the first 2 months of my life I spent in Two Rivers. Didn't move away because I didn't love it. I didn't have a choice. My parents just took me away after 2 months.
They do that with 2-month-olds.
They do that all the time.
It's like you have no say.
I've never forgiven them yet. But you'll find that because coming back here, not only is it rich with the community involvement, but it's very affordable. Oh my gosh, it's very, very affordable.
Okay, you guys are kind of talking me into this. I'm really looking like, oh, maybe I should move here. So, are you guys welcoming to new people move here, or is it kind of like a surfer locals only vibe?
No, absolutely. And coming back, I thought it was going to be one of those, how do you claw your way into the community?
Yeah.
Right? But I was welcomed right away, which is awesome. And then jumped on city council to be able to take that same.
Oh, she just came and took over though.
Our station manager was up here last night, Chuck and his wife Patty. And when I walked into the restaurant, it was like he was part of town.
Sure.
Okay.
Very well.
Like he had known you guys for years.
Right, and he was a really nice man, and I just wanted to just add on to what you were saying. You and I are both Cali girls.
Right. Oh, so you got me right away.
I totally get it.
Locals only.
Right, but I'll tell you, I moved here in 1990, expected to stay maybe 2 years, and then I was gonna go someplace else. I have not left. I have been here. My husband and I have been married for more than 25 years. This has been one of the most welcoming, nicest communities, and I've lived all over the United States. But California, totally different vibe.
Yeah.
And you can surf in Lake Michigan, so you're not really losing much, except you got a really good attitude.
Well,
here.
right. It's kind of embarrassing for me. I'm in San Diego, and I can't brag we have the best beaches anymore. They're filthy.
I remember Santa Monica Beach. Yeah,
Right. You know
it's
what I'm
a giant
talking about.
estuary.
But we were at with Kevin and his wife. We were at Phil and Michelle's right next door. A great little local tavern, and again, it was like we were part of the neighborhood.
It's interesting to do this exercise. We're getting surveys and asking people for input. Some of the words that are coming out are home, community. There's a timelessness here, which is kind of interesting because our society's moved so fast towards electronics. We're not talking to people. People are actually face to face here.
You can
They
walk
talk and
this
care.
town.
Yes, you can.
Just walking down Main Street here is a really beautiful kind of relaxing walk.
Okay.
It's just it just feels. it feels small town and homey.
Absolutely, it
But
does.
just walking around, when I was walking around the town on the other side of the street, over by the Waverly and St. Luke's and City Hall and the 17th Street Bridge, which is a beautiful view, by the way, looking back across the town. It was a really comfortable, casual, great walk where you've got something beautiful. You got a beautiful vista in front of you, just about at every turn.
Absolutely, at every turn. And what's also nice is we're known for being one of the coolest spots in Wisconsin because we shot out about 5 miles into the Lake Michigan. So
Yeah.
southern breeze, eastern breeze, or northern breeze cools this place down.
I was gonna say, you guys kind of have your own
Air conditioning.
environment here.
That's right.
Yes, we do.
Year round.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it tempers the snow. And,
Yeah. But although we're a small town, we're still close to enough activity. Green
Yeah.
Bay's 45 minutes away.
Right.
So if you want to go,
Right.
shop in a mall or see a Packer game or do whatever you need to do.
Go to Phil
Spider
Forte
Bears
with
fan.
Phil Forte,
Dan
you go
Davies,
to Appleton.
yeah,
Appleton's a
Appleton, there
great
you
town,
go.
hustle and bustle.
Uh-huh.
Sheboygan's close by.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's only an hour and a half. And by the way, Chicago,
Yeah.
we have a lot of people from Chicago actually have summer homes up here because they want to get away from the hustle and bustle of Chicago. I mean, if you got a car in front of you, you got a traffic jam. Right?
Oh,
There's usually 2 cars, 5-minute wait. You're really that's a traffic jam in Two Rivers. So
I was
it's
out
very
about
fun.
7 o'clock this morning driving around. There was almost nobody on the street. And about 10 o'clock, everybody wakes up.
There you go.
So they're hitting some of the great restaurants and
That's right. It's very, very comfortable, very laid back. And that's why we're doing what we're doing with our branding exercise. Is it's taking our brand essence and our personality and saying, how do we communicate authentic beauty and values that we have in the city, and maybe attract some other people like the Darla.
But you haven't quite figured that out exactly.
Well, we're in
what
the
that
process
message
of it. I don't want to be premature and jump into my conclusion of what the brand position should be. It really is a collective effort.
Please
So
let
we're
us know.
finishing that up.
Please let us know when
I will. In fact, you can go to branding2rivers.com. You can hit on that, and you'll get updates on how our progress is. We hired a great firm who's also providing a video documentary on this journey.
It's fantastic, Bill. You really got to check it out. It's great.
We're real comfortable and happy. We're happy with at least all the support we're getting from the community.
And the ice cream sundae was invented here.
The ice cream. We're the home of the ice cream sundae. Did you know that?
You did know that. That was part of what I was supposed to read.
Yes, we're the home of the ice cream sundae.
It was in my 40-page treatment of the town that I left for
Yes,
for
in fact, the Washington House, which is right by over here, is a museum. You can go there and treat yourself to one. Well, actually, we treat you to one, but you can't treat yourself unless you pay for it. But I can treat you to one. Would you like ice cream sundae later?
We'll talk.
Okay. Well, it's someone's birthday, so we should buy her ice cream sundae.
Curt Andrews, council member for Two Rivers, Wisconsin. We've got much more shows. Stick around. We'll be right back right after this.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, really nice.